What's going on, folks? Welcome back to Beans to Greens. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my potting soil recipe. This is something that I've played with over the years, just through trial and error, and I finally got it dialed in. I use it strictly now for all my seedlings and my clones, and I transplant into it. So why don't I go ahead and grab all my materials and I'll run you through the whole process. All right, so we're back here with all the materials now, and I'll just run you through everything. So first off, I'm going to be transplanting into a 2.5 gallon pot. And so what I did is I brought a 1 gallon pot out, just to help me kind of measure things out. So in this 1 gallon pot, what I have here is I just got some used Roots Organic soil that I used from some other runs, but nothing else other than that, just strictly that. So I got my 5 gallon bucket here. I'm just using this just to mix everything in, okay? So 1 gallon of the just used potting soil, the Roots Organics. The next thing I like to add is I like to add this Kellogg's raised bed and garden mix here. This stuff is really good. I like it for the fact that it's got a lot of wood chips in there, and so that's going to add a lot of carbon content to the soil, which is really good. And then also another thing that I really liked about it is that it has composted chicken manure in this. And so when I talked on my seedling videos, I was talking about soil biology and how we want a nice diverse biology. Well, each type of manure is going to add a different type of biology, microorganisms, beneficial bacteria, things like that into our soil. Okay, so this having the chicken manure is really beneficial in the fact that it just adds, you know, more diversity to our soil there. So what we're going to do is I'm actually just going to grab just another pot of this, so just another gallon of this, and then we'll grab the rest of the materials. This stuff does kind of get clumped up, so sometimes it's a little bit hard to work with. But it's got a little bit of perlite in there for aeration, not as much as we would need or as much as I would like. So I am going to add a little bit extra perlite in there, but you could kind of see the wood chips and everything like that in there. But this stuff is pretty good too. So we're gonna go ahead and add that to our bucket here to mix as well. And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. And then the next thing that we're going to add is pumice. And the reason I'm adding this is I want more aeration in my soil, okay? And the rule of thumb on aeration when you're making your own soil is 25 to 30% aeration. And that could go with all different types of things. Perlite, pumice, you could add rice hulls, things like that to add aeration. But for the fact of this, we're going to just add some pumice. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fill this about 3/4 of the way full. All this stuff doesn't need to be exact. You know, living soil is very forgiving. Doing organics is very forgiving as well too. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this 3/4 of the way up with the pumice. All right, that's about 3/4 of the way. This pumice I got from Build-A-Soil. It's a really nice size pumice. The size of it is really good. I like using Build-A-Soil a lot for just a number of reasons. I think they have some really quality ingredients, really quality products. It seems like they vet all their stuff out really well. And they also look into sustainability as well too, which is really important. So we're going to go ahead and add this to our mix here. All right, and now that is going to essentially make up our mix. However, let me get this out of the way. However, there's a couple of other things that I would like to add to this soil mix, okay? Because the cow logs, let's face it, it doesn't have a ton of nutrients in it. It's got a little bit, but I would like to add a little bit more to the mix, okay? So one of the things that I do like to do is, this is living soil, right? So we want to make sure that it's alive. So I've got earthworm castings that I'm definitely going to add some to that. And all I'm going to add is 1 cup. So this is just a regular dry measuring cup. So I'm going to add 1 cup of the earthworm castings to it. And again, it's for the biology. Wake that soil up, make sure it's nice and healthy. The next thing that I'm going to add is the Coast of Maine manure compost. So this is also great. It's going to add that biology like I was talking about, in terms of, you know, from the cow manure here. And it's also got, you know, peat moss and other kinds of good stuff in there as well too. But from the cow manure, it's going to add a little bit of nitrogen, which our plants are really going to want to need up front, you know, while they're in the vegetative stage. So I've got those 2 items in there. Did just 1 measuring cup of that as well. So that's gonna take care of that. Now, next I just want to add a couple of amendments to this soil mix, and I'll run you through those amendments and also why I use them. So first up is Down to Earth. This is BioLive, and the benefit of this, instead of using like the all-purpose 444, is it's got mycorrhiza in it, and it's also got a bunch of beneficial bacterias and things like that. Along with, it is, you know, more geared towards veg in the NPK ratio as well too. So all that we need with it being a 2-gallon is I just add just 2 tablespoons for the 2.5 gallons, and that will be absolutely sufficient. And we won't need to add anything else to this mix for the entire time that this plant fills up this whole container, which is really nice. It's kind of a set it and forget it approach. So the next thing that I like to add is I like to add diatomaceous earth for a couple of reasons. So when you're growing organics, it's inevitable you're going to be battling fungus gnats. And I found that the diatomaceous earth really helps with that. Along with what the diatomaceous earth also helps with is it adds a lot of silica into the plants as well too. Plants can take up a lot of silica and a lot of calcium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the diatomaceous earth. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. You could go heavy on this stuff and it's not going to hurt anything. The diatomaceous earth, that is. And then the other thing that I'm going to add is I'm also going to add some mustard seed meal. And this is another Build a Soil product. I got turned on to this by Jeremy from Build a Soil. He was talking about using it in some episodes, and he was just talking about the beneficials of it. This stuff will create a crazy mycelium on the soil, and also I've used it just as a top dress on my plants for battling fungus gnats, and it is eliminated them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of this as well too to the mix. All right, got that. And then there's just one more thing that we got, and that is azomite. So the azomite is really good. I like to add a little bit of that. It's just rock dust basically, and it adds calcium to the mix, and it also adds just a lot of minerals in there, and just kind of some trace elements and things like that. So I like to put that in there as well too. So I'll add 2 tablespoons of that. All right, And that's pretty much it. So now from here, all that we're gonna do is we're just gonna mix this stuff up really, really well. The one thing that I do want to touch on is that, you know, typically when I'm working with the diatomaceous earth and just a lot of these amendments in general, you want to make sure they're wearing a face mask. This stuff gets airborne and it's really, you know, it's nasty. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. It's excellent for the plants. The plants absolutely love it. However, you really just need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And so normally when I'm doing this, I have a mask on. You know, I want to try and protect my lungs and make sure that I'm staying safe while I'm doing it. So what we're doing here is I'm just making sure that this is all mixed up really, really well. I'm making sure that it's really well incorporated. We want to make sure that the BioLive and all of our amendments are just touching all the soil. We want to make sure that the pumice gets really well incorporated into the soil and acts as aeration throughout the entire soil, and that there's no big clumps or anything like that. If there are clumps, you could break them apart. It's not a big deal. You know, the plants are going to get these nutrients and break this stuff down. The biology in the soil is going to break this stuff down anyhow. But that's what I really like to do. So from here, what we're gonna do is I just got a little tray here to try and keep things as clean as possible. But now what we're gonna do is just, you know, pour all this mix into our pot. And don't be afraid to mix a little bit extra as well too. You know, it's a lot easier to get all your ratios down and have a little bit extra soil versus not enough, and then you're trying to play with ratios and all that stuff. You could definitely eyeball it. It's not that big of a deal, but this fills it up really nice here. I don't go all the way to the top. I try and leave a little bit of room in there, you know, in case I do need to top dress if I run out of time and I'm not able to move things around. So I like to leave a little bit of space in my pot, just for, you know, a little bit of wiggle room and everything. So this is what it looks like. The soil's looking really nice. You could see the pumice in there and everything like that. It smells great. So now, all right, folks, that's my potting soil recipe. I've had a lot of success with it, and I'm confident that if you try it out, you will too. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions on anything I covered, drop it in the comments below. Also, I want to know what you guys got growing on. I always love to hear, so put it in the comments. As always, hit that like button. Subscribe. If you know anybody that you feel would find value in this or just find it entertaining, please share it with them. Until next time, let's keep growing together.